boy on board. What should I do?
Ah, ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
Hallo und willkommen, ich bin Meister Lehnsherr und ihr seht my first time tag. And no, it's not that kind of first time you're thinking about, you filthy minds. I will tell you about occasions on which I've done something for the first time, and later on you will return the favor in the comments below. To say my first time in German, you say mein erstes Mal. Ooh. If you want to learn more about numbers, dates and so forth, make sure to check out my German for Beginners video on that topic. After watching this video, you'll find the link to the video in the video description of this video. Confused yet? Let's start! Lasst uns anfangen! Mein erster Kuss. My first kiss. I had my first kiss on a party when I was about, I was a late bloomer, like 15, 16 I think, with that really, yeah, I don't know, let's say experienced chick. And I, like I said, had my first kiss there, and then we were just awkwardly sitting in front of each other on this brick wall, and then she came in for the kiss, and I don't even know if I was drunk. It was just really awkward, and lots of tongue and slobbery slop stuff, I think. Back then, like I said, I wasn't very experienced. And yeah, it wasn't the nicest occasion for a first kiss, but that was my first kiss. What was yours? Meine erste Auslandsreise. My first trip overseas. My first trip overseas was with my friend Sven. We went canoeing, like this, on this boat, and with this pedal, you know, canoeing, yeah. You swap sides and then canoe goes left or right. Yeah, you know what canoeing is, okay. Anyways, yeah, I went there to Sweden with my friend Sven, and it was lots of fun. We went there twice in total, but my first trip there was, I reckon, when I was, yeah, around 15, 14 as well, and it was just lots of fun. We like canoed, however you say that, for about 8 hours each day, which was quite exhausting for me because I was chubby and not really fit at all, but it was fun nevertheless because we were like going over these lakes and the water was warm, it was summer, and it was just great. We even jumped right from the canoe into the lake. Getting into the canoe again was kind of hard. We needed like 2 canoes. You have to like hold them together in the middle. The people from the separate canoes have to hold them together, and then a person from the side can climb in, because otherwise obviously the canoe would like go whoop, and that would not be good. Nein, das wäre nicht sehr gut. Anyways, that was my first Auslandsreise and was lots of fun. Mein erster Unfall. My first accident. My first accident, I guess we're talking traffic accidents here, or with like a vehicle of some kind. I had when I was 16 on a motorbike, and I exactly know what song I was listening to when I had that accident, because I know you're not supposed to do that, like you're not supposed to listen to music on both ears when you have your helmet on and everything, because you can't really hear much. Anyways, it was not the reason that I had that accident that I listened to music. I just remember that I listened to him, Join Me in Death, which is so ironic, because I could have died, I think. And then I just underestimated like this bend or curve, whatever you say, and was way too fast, and I realized that in the middle of it, and I was like, oh, need to brake. But the first thing you learn at driving school is not to brake in a curve or bend, and I did that, and in addition to that there was rubble, and then what happened, of course, slid against a tree that was on the side of the road. At first I was just rolling, I was like sliding on the ground, that I remember that much. And then after that I kind of blacked out. I just remember waking up in front of this tree, and way up there, like I don't know if I somehow flew against that or something, I don't know, there was this big piece of bark off the tree. It was just ripped off, and I don't know if that was there before or not, but I just remember getting up, or trying to get up, like what's going on, and then I tried to get my motorbike up again, but I noticed I just couldn't. My left side just was too weak, it hurt like hell. In the end it turned out I didn't break anything, I just like overstretched my like whole left body part, like the whole side of my body was just overstretched, and I had to go to rehab, and wasn't fun. Like I couldn't even do this back then. They forced my elbow up like this until I could touch my other shoulder again with this arm. It was just hell, let me tell you that. So that was my first real accident. Mein erster Job, my first job. I guess my first job was at this company I worked at as an IT system electrician or whatever you want to call that. And I started it when I was like 16, I think. Around that age, yeah. We installed these security cams at companies and it was just a shit job because they ended up not paying me regularly and I didn't enjoy the work at all. It was not creative, it was just boring as hell. I'm so glad that I did not continue to do that apprenticeship in the end because it wasn't for me. This is for me, but not that. It was just, I'm not, I don't know, gifted enough for stuff like that, maybe for it just was boring, it was just langweilig. Yeah, nah, thanks. Meine erste große Liebe, my first big love. Well, my first big love was very disappointing, as probably many first loves are. It was in elementary school and it was this girl, let's call her Betty. And Betty did not respond to my love in the way that I hoped for, obviously. She did not like me that way. She was a very good friend of mine, went over there a couple of times, like, oh, not a couple of times, all the time actually, to play, just because we were kids, just playing out in the woods and whatnot, and watching movies and having sleepovers. But I just fell in love with her and I couldn't help it. Anyways, at some point I decided to write her a little note in German, Ich liebe dich, I love you, and gave it to her. And then later on, she didn't respond to that. She gave me one back when she came to my house, we played, blah blah blah. And then I found a note saying, oh, I love you too, ich liebe dich auch. But then a friend of hers told me like, oh, she just said that because she thinks you don't have anyone else. I was like, oh, great. Cool, that's my first love. That wasn't how I imagined it to be in the end. Not really. Meine erste eigene Wohnung, my first own apartment. If you talk about your first flat in terms of like being outside your own house, of your parents' house, then that was pretty late, when I was like 21 or so, when I went to uni. I moved to Bielefeld and studied there, and there I had this tiny room, which is like 1,000 times smaller what I had like at home here, because I was lucky enough to get my own flat when I was 16 up here on the first level of my parents' house, with like my own bedroom, kitchen, office, and all that kind of stuff. We were just lucky to have like this big farmhouse that my parents renovated when I was very young, and then there just happened to be a flat up here, which was lucky for me, like I said. And so my first real flat I had, yeah, I say this is my first real flat because this is just so much better than everything I had when I moved somewhere else. So like I said, I was very fortunate in that aspect. Mein erster bester Freund, my first best friend. That must have been also Sven. Sven is my first best friend, I think. We got to know each other when we were in kindergarten, or maybe even earlier, I don't really remember. We were just very young, that much I know. And we spent so much time together. Mostly we played like stuff on the Super Nintendo because he had like Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore. He always says, oh, you just came over because you wanted to play my games. But obviously that's not true. Nah, but it just contributed to our friendship. I think that we had the same interests, that we were like on the same level. That was pretty cool, and I'm still best friends with him nowadays. I mean, I have more best friends now because obviously there are so many great people out there. You can't just have one best friend, but still he's one of my best friends, and yeah, I'm very, very happy to have him. Mein erstes Videospiel, my first video game. I think my first video game I played after watching my older brother Sven, which is not my best friend, but you know, anyways, when I saw him playing video games on the Amiga system. I don't know if you had that in your country, but in Germany it was a pretty popular gaming, or not really gaming, just the first personal computer kind of that you had before, or after the Atari system. There was Amiga. Lots of fun. 2D, obviously, very old school, everything. And then the first game I played was this game where you had to dig your way through dirt, like make little tunnels on the screen and like dig for like treasure and then evade enemies and stuff. It was very simple, but a lot of fun. Mein erster Film, my first movie. I don't know that for sure, but the first memory I have of a movie is from the movie Blinky Bill, or at least I think it was a movie, or maybe just an episode, but that's the first film kinda thing that I remember in my life. My mom always put it on, or not always, but she put it on after I went to the hospital, and when I was still like full of drugs, like, Mom, what's going on? Is this real life? And then I just remember that she always put on Blinky Bill. She even rented that, I think, from the video store for me, and I always watched that. It sounds like I had a million surgeries or something, but I didn't. I had just 2 or so in my whole life as a kid. And yeah, that's that, the first movie. Mein erstes Konzert, my first concert. I watched my first concert when I was 16. It was a band called Die Ärzte, The Doctors. I don't know if that's late for your first concert, but I guess it's something you go to when you're a bit older, because parents are usually not that big on letting their kids go to concerts in general. So I was lucky enough, I guess, that I could go with 16. And yeah, that was in Minden to the concert of Die Ärzte, The Doctors. A punk band, a punk rock band actually, that is very famous in Germany. Mein erstes Auto, my first car. My first car was a Renault Clio. I had that when I was 18 until I was 22, 21 or so, because it broke down at that point. Like, we listened to music one day while the car was like completely shut down. So it drained the battery, and then because the battery was empty, we tried to push it to life again. Like, one of us was sitting in the car and the other was pushing the car, and that kinda, I don't know how, destroyed the engine. And ever since, the car was like not repairable anymore. We brought it to all these repair shops and they said, oh no, that's broken, you better sell it to us. And I think we were scammed. But yeah, that was my first car. It was really nice. It was a blue Renault Clio, sports edition, low, with a big exhaust. Really bogan, really teenager car-like, and I loved it though. It was nice. It brought us from A to B every time, and was a great car. Mein erstes Video, my first video, the first video that I made personally, was with my friend Sven again. We filmed like lots of skits when we were kids. It's all started off with a little radio show that we would record on cassette, and like we would change our voices, like, hello, I'm this and that, and then we went further and filmed ourselves doing stuff. Like, obviously Jackass was big back then, and we tried some stuff like that. I still have some material somewhere lying around. I will try to find it in the future for you guys. Yeah, and that was my first video, I think, the Jackass thing. Or maybe even some other skits where we were just fighting each other like wrestlers. I remember that I put like a boxer shorts on my head because we had to make up different characters. It was just really weird, and yeah, I'm glad that that material is actually not online. Meine erste Freundin, my first girlfriend. Like I said, I was a late bloomer, so don't judge me. I think I had my first girlfriend when I was 16 or so, or 15. I think around 16. It was this girl from our town here. She didn't really like me back that much, I think, as I liked her. So that's why it didn't really, yeah, it didn't really work out in the end. But yeah, that was my first girlfriend. Not very special in any way. Meine erste Furcht, my first fear. My first fear was probably, yeah, sewer entrances. It sounds weird, but you will understand in a second. When I was a kid, like 8 or 9 years old, I snuck up into my brother's apartment, like where I live now, and watched Stephen King's It. You know, this horror movie with this creepy clown that can transform into this big ass spider that lives in the sewers and pulls like little kids in there and eats them. And yeah, ever since I watched that, I was so terrified of sewer entrances. I made a big, like, I guess it wasn't like the sewer entrance in general, but I thought this clown would come out there and eat me. So I was always like, oh, I don't want to go there, no. Yeah, and in the end it was all good. I'm not afraid of that anymore. And this movie is really not that good either. I watched it recently, and It's just not good at all. As a kid I thought it was the most terrifying movie ever, but now I just laugh about it. That was the My First Time tag. Like I said before, you are now tagged. Make your own video or tell me about your first times in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to my channel for new videos every Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Like my Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Tumblr and Instagram for exclusive bonus content and sneak peeks into my daily life here in Germany. You can also support the channel and get access to many cool rewards like a monthly Google Hangout session with me by becoming a patron here, or you can find the Patreon link in the video description. Thank you for watching. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.